Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Frontier, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. His ship had been flying through deep space for 3 weeks now, looking for new planets and checking the borders of human territory. It was quiet work, but important. Someone had to make sure nothing dangerous was coming toward Earth. The exploration vessel moved slowly through the dark space between star systems. Most of the crew was relaxed. They had done this job many times before. Lieutenant Amy Phillips sat at her sensor station, watching the screens that showed everything around their ship. She was good at her job and rarely missed anything unusual. "Captain, I'm getting something strange on the long-range sensors," Amy said, looking up from her screen with worry in her eyes. "There's a big object about 2 million kilometers away. It's not moving, but it's giving off some kind of energy." Jake walked over to look at her screen. He saw a small dot that looked different from the stars around it. "What do you think it is, another ship?" "Maybe, but the readings are weird. The energy pattern doesn't match any human ship I know. It's not like the friendly alien ships either," Amy said, adjusting her controls to get a better look. Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's science officer, came over to see what they were talking about. He was a smart man who had studied alien technology for many years. When he saw the readings on Amy's screen, his face went white. "Captain, we need to be very careful here," Marcus said in a quiet voice. "These energy readings are much stronger than anything we've seen before. Whatever that thing is, it has weapons that could destroy our ship easily." Lisa Parker, who handled navigation for the ship, checked their position on her charts. "We're still inside human space, but just barely. We're about as far from Earth as you can get and still be in our territory." Jake thought about what to do. They could turn around and fly away, but they needed to know what was out there. If it was dangerous, Earth needed to be warned. If it was friendly, first contact was always important. "Take us closer, but slowly," Jake ordered. "Raise shields and keep weapons ready. Amy, I want full sensor sweeps every few seconds." The USS Frontier moved toward the unknown object. As they got closer, the sensors showed more details. It was definitely a ship, but unlike anything humans had ever built. It was huge, almost twice the size of their exploration vessel. The metal was dark and had strange patterns cut into it. "Captain, I'm reading weapon systems all over that ship," Amy reported. "Big ones. The plasma cannons alone could cut through our shields like paper, and there are torpedo tubes that could fire projectiles with enough power to crack a moon." Tony Rodriguez, the communications officer, was listening to radio signals from the alien ship. His equipment could pick up even weak transmissions. "Sir, I'm getting some kind of automated signal from that vessel. It's not trying to talk to us, but it's sending out a repeating message." "Can you understand it?" Jake asked. "Not yet, but the computer is working on it. The language is completely unknown, but there are patterns. Give me a few minutes." Dr. Webb was studying the ship's design through the main telescope. What he saw made him even more worried. "Captain, look at these hull markings. See those symbols burned into the metal? I've seen them before in old military files." Jake looked at the strange writing on the alien ship. It looked like it had been carved with some kind of laser. "What do they mean?" "If I'm right, and I hope I'm wrong, those are Viridian Empire markings." The Viridians were a race that conquered many star systems about 300 years ago. They had the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. Their ships were classified by power level, and the most dangerous ones were called Class 15 destroyers. Maria Santos, the ship's security chief, had been listening to everything. She knew military history well. The Viridian Empire disappeared suddenly about 250 years ago. Nobody ever found out what happened to them. Most people thought they all died out. "Well, it looks like at least one of their ships survived," Marcus said, pointing at the viewing screen. "And if that's really a Class 15 destroyer, we're looking at one of the most dangerous weapons ever built." Tony's computer finally broke. The code of the alien transmission. His face went pale as he read the translation. "Captain, you need to hear this. The message is a distress call, but it's not asking for help. It's calling other Viridian ships to wake up and return to active duty." "Wake up?" Jake asked. "What does that mean?" I think the crew is in some kind of sleep, like hibernation. But the ship's computers are still working, and they're trying to contact other Viridian vessels, Tony explained. Amy's sensors suddenly showed new activity from the alien ship. Captain, energy levels are rising. The ship is powering up. Something's happening over there. Through the viewing screen, they could see lights starting to appear on the Viridian destroyer. Parts of the ship that had been dark were now glowing, with strange blue energy. The vessel was coming alive after centuries of sleep. Sir, should we try to contact them? Tony asked, his hand hovering over the communication controls. Jake thought carefully. Making contact with aliens was always risky, but these weren't just any aliens. If the stories were true, the Viridians had destroyed entire civilizations. They had never shown mercy to anyone who got in their way. Not yet. First, we need to send a message back to Earth Command. They need to know about this immediately, Jake decided. Lisa, plot a course back to the nearest communication relay. We'll send our report from there. Already done, Captain. We can reach the relay station in 6 hours if we push the engines. But before they could move, Amy's sensors picked up something that changed everything. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting more ships, lots of them. I count at least 12 objects with the same energy signature as this one. Where are they? Jake asked, though he already feared the answer. They're scattered across this whole region of space, and they're all starting to power up, just like this one. It's like the distress call woke them all up at once. Dr. Webb sat down hard in his chair. This isn't just one lost ship. It's an entire fleet. The Viridians didn't die out. They've been sleeping, waiting for something to wake them up. The bridge was quiet as everyone understood what this meant. Humanity had stumbled onto something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The most feared military force in known history was waking up, and their ships were scattered throughout human space. Get me Earth Command on the emergency channel, Jake ordered. Priority Alpha communication. Tell them we found Class 15 Viridian destroyers and they're waking up. As the USS Frontier prepared to retreat and warn Earth, none of them knew that humanity had been preparing for this exact moment for over 50 years. The discovery would indeed change everything, but not in the way the Viridians expected. Admiral Helen Brooks stood in the command center on Earth, staring at the emergency message that had just arrived from Captain Morrison's ship. She had been in charge of Earth's defense forces for 12 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The words on the screen made her blood run cold. Get me the emergency council immediately, she ordered her aide, and activate Protocol 7. I want every available ship ready to launch within 2 hours. Protocol 7 had never been used before. It meant that Earth faced a threat that could destroy human civilization. Only 3 people knew what Protocol 7 really meant, and Admiral Brooks was one of them. Across the galaxy, Captain Ryan Clark was enjoying a quiet dinner on his ship, the USS Defiance, when the emergency alert came through. Ryan was humanity's best military commander. He had fought in 7 major battles and had never lost a single ship under his command. When he read the message about Viridian Class 15 destroyers, he dropped his fork and ran to the bridge. All hands to battle stations, Ryan announced over the ship's communication system. This is not a drill. We have a code red emergency. Navigation, set course for the coordinates in that message. Maximum speed. The USS Defiance was humanity's newest and most powerful warship. It had weapons and shields that were better than anything else in the human fleet. But Ryan knew that even his ship might not be enough against a Class 15 destroyer. Chief Engineer Sam Bennett was already working in the engine room when the alert came through. He had been expecting this day for a long time. Sam was one of the few people who knew about humanity's secret projects. For years, he had been working on new technologies that most people didn't even know existed. Katie, get down here right now, Sam called to weapons specialist Katie Morgan over the internal communication system. We need to install the new defensive systems immediately, the ones from Project Blue. Katie had been waiting for this order for 3 years. Project Blue was so secret that only 5 people in the entire military knew about it. The technology came from studying pieces of old alien ships that had been found on ancient battlefields. Now they would finally get to test it in real combat. Back near the Viridian destroyer, Captain Morrison and his crew watched as the alien ship continued to wake up. More lights were coming on every minute. The hull was starting to glow with a strange energy that made their sensors go crazy. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner was the intelligence officer aboard the USS Defiance. As Ryan's ship raced toward the danger zone, Alex was studying everything humanity knew about Viridian technology. The files were old and incomplete, but they painted a picture of an enemy unlike anything humans had ever faced. Captain Clark, according to these reports, a single Class 15 destroyer once destroyed an entire planet. They have shields that can deflect nuclear weapons and plasma cannons that can cut through solid rock like butter, Alex reported. What about their weaknesses? Ryan asked. Every ship has weak points. That's the problem, sir. We don't know of any. The Viridians always won their battles so quickly that nobody ever learned how to fight them effectively. Dr. Rachel Kim was already on her way to join the fleet in a fast courier ship. She was humanity's top expert on alien technology, especially Viridian systems. Rachel had spent 15 years studying every piece of Viridian equipment that humans had ever found. She knew their ships better than anyone alive. As her courier ship flew through space at maximum speed, Rachel worked on her portable computer. She was reviewing battle plans that had been created years ago for exactly this situation. Plans that most people thought were just theoretical exercises. Computer access file Omega 7, she said to her ship's artificial intelligence. Authorization code, Kim Alpha 77 Blue. The computer responded with information that was classified at the highest levels. File accessed. Project Guardian data now available. Rachel smiled as she read through the data. Humanity had not been sitting idle for the past 50 years. While everyone thought humans were peaceful explorers and traders, some very smart people had been preparing for war. Meanwhile, the Viridian Class 15 destroyer was almost fully operational. Inside the ship, Captain Zixthera was waking up from his long sleep. He had been dreaming of conquest and glory when the automatic systems brought him back to consciousness. Zixthera looked around his command chamber. Everything was as he had left it 3 centuries ago. His weapons were ready, his shields were strong, and his crew was beginning to wake up from their hibernation pods. Navigation officer, report our position, Zixthera commanded in his harsh, alien language. We are in the territory of a species called humans, Commander. They appear to be a young race with primitive technology. Zixthera laughed. It was a sound like grinding metal. Excellent. We will destroy them quickly and claim their worlds for the Empire. Have the other ships reported in? Yes, Commander. 11 other Class 15 destroyers are awakening across this region of space. We can begin the conquest immediately. Back on the USS Frontier, Captain Morrison was getting more worried by the minute. The alien ship was now fully powered and was turning toward them. Its weapons were charging, and there was no doubt about its intentions. All hands, prepare for combat, Morrison announced. Shields to maximum, weapons armed. Communications, send a final message to Earth Command. Tell them the Viridians are definitely hostile. Tony Rodriguez sent the message using the ship's fastest communication system. The signal would reach Earth in 6 hours, but Morrison wasn't sure they would live that long to see the response. Amy Phillips watched her sensors as the Viridian destroyer began moving toward them. The alien ship was much faster than she had expected. Captain, that ship is accelerating directly toward us. Estimated time to weapons range, 14 minutes. Can we outrun them? Morrison asked. Not a chance, sir. They're twice as fast as we are. Lisa Parker was already plotting escape routes, but every calculation showed the same result. The Viridian ship could catch them no matter which direction they ran. Dr. Webb was still studying the alien vessel through their telescopes. Captain, I'm seeing movement on their hull. Gun ports are opening. Those plasma cannons are almost ready to fire. Maria Santos checked their own weapons. The USS Frontier was an exploration ship, not a warship. Their guns were meant for clearing asteroids and defending against pirates, not fighting the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. Sir, our weapons won't even scratch their shields, Maria reported sadly. We might as well be throwing rocks at them. But unknown to everyone on the USS Frontier, Help was already on the way. Admiral Brooks had sent 12 of humanity's most advanced warships toward their position. Ships that carried technology the Viridians had never seen before. The battle for human civilization was about to begin, and the outcome would surprise everyone involved. The first battle happened faster than anyone expected. Captain Zixathera of the Viridian destroyer decided to test these humans before his other ships arrived. He wanted to see how weak they really were. "Fire plasma cannons at the human vessel," Zixathera ordered. "Destroy them quickly." Blue beams of deadly energy shot out from the alien ship toward the USS Frontier. Captain Morrison watched the attack coming and knew his ship couldn't survive a direct hit. "Brace for impact," Morrison shouted to his crew. But something amazing happened. The plasma beams hit the USS Frontier's shields and bounced off harmlessly. The crew looked at each other in shock. Their shields should have failed instantly against Viridian weapons. "How is that possible?" Amy Phillips asked, staring at her sensor readings. "Our shields are holding at 90% power." Dr. Webb was just as surprised. "Those weapons should have cut through our defenses like they weren't even there." What they didn't know was that their shields had been secretly upgraded 3 months ago. Chief Engineer Sam Bennett had installed new technology that nobody talked about. Technology that came from 50 years of studying Viridian weapons. Captain Zixathera was furious. His plasma cannons had never failed to destroy an enemy ship before. "Fire again! Maximum power!" This time, the alien ship fired all of its weapons at once. Plasma beams, energy bolts, and explosive projectiles all hit the USS Frontier. The human ship shook violently, but the shields held. "Impossible," Zixathera growled. "No primitive species should have shields that strong." While the USS Frontier survived the attack, help was arriving. The USS Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel just 1 million kilometers away. Captain Ryan Clark saw the battle happening and immediately gave orders. "All weapons target that Viridian destroyer. Katie, activate the special ammunition. Let's show them what humans can really do." Katie Morgan smiled as she loaded the new weapons that Sam Bennett had been working on for years. These weren't ordinary missiles or energy beams. They were kinetic penetrators, solid metal rods accelerated to incredible speeds. The technology was simple but deadly effective. "Special ammunition loaded and ready, Captain," Katie reported. "Fire," Ryan commanded. The kinetic penetrators shot out from the USS Defiance faster than the speed of sound. They were invisible to most sensors and hit the Viridian destroyer before Zixathera even knew they were coming. The metal rods punched through the alien ship's shields like they were made of paper. They tore holes in the hull and destroyed several weapon systems. Zixathera's ship shook as explosions erupted across its surface. "What kind of weapon was that?" Zixathera demanded from his bridge. "Our shield should stop everything." His weapons. Officer was studying the damage reports. "Commander, they fired solid projectiles at incredible speed. Our energy shields are designed to stop plasma and laser weapons, not physical objects moving that fast." Meanwhile, more human ships were arriving. The USS Victory, commanded by Captain Steve Davis, brought the Second Fleet into the battle zone. These ships also carried the new weapons and defensive systems. Dr. Rachel Kim finally reached the battle area in her courier ship. She immediately contacted Admiral Brooks on Earth with an encrypted message. "Admiral, it's time to reveal Project Guardian. The Viridians are here and we need our best ships in the fight." Admiral Brooks had been waiting for this moment for 12 years. She opened a communication channel that connected to a secret base hidden beyond the edge of human space. A base that officially didn't exist. "Director Hayes, this is Admiral Brooks. Authorization code Guardian Alpha Prime. Activate all Project Guardian assets immediately." Director Jonathan Hayes had been running the secret project since it began. His voice was calm but excited. "Understood, Admiral. The USS Sovereign is launching now. Estimated arrival time, 4 hours." The USS Sovereign was humanity's greatest secret. It was bigger and more powerful than any ship ever built. The technology inside it was a combination of human engineering and alien systems that had been studied for decades. Back at the battle, more Viridian ships were arriving. 3 more Class 15 destroyers appeared and immediately joined the fight. Captain Morrison's USS Frontier was now facing four of the most dangerous ships in the galaxy, but the humans had surprises of their own. Captain Nicole Adams led a squadron of new fighter ships that nobody had ever seen before. These small craft were incredibly fast and carried weapons specifically designed to fight Viridian vessels. Phoenix Squadron, this is Phoenix Leader, Nicole announced over the radio. Target the weapon systems on those destroyers. Use the new armor-piercing missiles. The human fighters swooped in like angry wasps, dodging the aliens' attempts to shoot them down. Their missiles were small but designed to exploit weaknesses in Viridian ship construction that Dr. Kim had discovered years ago. Captain Zixithara watched in growing anger as his fleet took damage from the primitive humans. This was not how the battle was supposed to go. The Viridian Empire had conquered 17 star systems without ever losing a single ship. All vessels, concentrate fire on the largest human ship, Zixithara ordered. We will destroy their flagship and break their spirit. 4 Class 15 destroyers turned their weapons toward the USS Defiance. Captain Ryan Clark saw the attack coming and made a decision that would go down in military history. All ships formed defensive formation around the Defiance. Katie, prepare the experimental weapon. It's time to test the gravity disruptor. The gravity disruptor was humanity's most advanced weapon. It could create small black holes that would crush anything nearby. The technology was dangerous and had never been used in real combat. Sir, are you sure? Katie asked. If something goes wrong, we could destroy ourselves. We don't have a choice. Fire the weapon. The gravity disruptor created a tiny black hole directly in front of the Viridian fleet. The intense gravity pulled their ships off course and damaged their formations. 2 of the destroyers collided with each other, causing massive explosions. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner was monitoring the battle from his station. Captain, we're getting reports from across human space. Viridian ships are attacking our colonies, but our defense forces are holding them off. Whatever we did to prepare, it's working. Commander Beth Turner, who led the research division on Earth, was watching the battle through long-range sensors. She had spent 20 years developing the weapons and defenses that were now saving human lives. Admiral Brooks, our ships are performing better than expected, Beth reported. The Viridians seem surprised by our technology. They're not adapting to our tactics as quickly as their historical record suggested they should. Admiral Brooks smiled for the first time since the crisis began. That's because they're fighting an enemy they've never faced before. An enemy that spent 50 years studying their every move and preparing for this exact moment. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, humanity was winning against the most feared military force in the galaxy. The USS Sovereign arrived at the battle zone like a metal mountain moving through space. The massive ship was 3 times larger than any Viridian destroyer and carried weapons that made their plasma cannons look like toys. Captain Greg Miller stood on the bridge of humanity's ultimate warship and smiled. All Viridian vessels, this is Captain Miller of the Human Defense Force. You have attacked peaceful colonies and threatened innocent lives. Surrender now or face the consequences, Greg announced over the communication system. Captain Zixithara laughed when he heard the message. 1 ship against the entire Viridian fleet? These humans are even more foolish than I thought. All vessels destroy that oversized target immediately. 8 Class 15 destroyers turned their weapons toward the USS Sovereign. Every plasma cannon, every energy weapon, every missile launcher fired at once. The combined attack was enough to vaporize a small moon. The weapons hit the Sovereign's shields and something incredible happened. The energy was absorbed and redirected back at the Viridian ships. Their own plasma beams struck their hulls, causing massive damage to 3 destroyers. Impossible, Zixithara whispered. They turned our own weapons against us. Engineer Corps. Commander Linda Shaw was watching the battle from the Sovereign's engineering deck. She had designed the ship's defensive systems using technology that the Viridians had never imagined. The shields didn't just block attacks, they learned from them and turned them into weapons. Captain Miller, all systems are functioning perfectly. The adaptive shields are working better than our computer models predicted, Linda reported with satisfaction. The Viridian fleet was in chaos. Half of their ships were damaged, and the humans kept showing new weapons and defenses that shouldn't exist. Captain Zixathara realized that his empire had made a terrible mistake. "Send a message to the High Command," Zixathara ordered his communications officer. "Tell them we need reinforcements immediately. These humans are not what they appear to be." But the message never reached the Viridian High Command. Captain Nicole Adams and her fighter squadron had been busy. They had used their small, fast ships to plant special devices on the alien vessels, devices that blocked all long-range communications. "Phoenix leader to all human ships," Nicole announced. "Communication jammers are in place. The Viridians can't call for help." Admiral Brooks was coordinating the battle from Earth. She watched as human ships surrounded the Viridian fleet from all directions. Ships that had been hidden in secret bases for decades were finally revealing themselves. "All units, this is Admiral Brooks. Execute Battle Plan Omega. Show them what humanity is really capable of." Battle Plan Omega had been created 30 years ago by the brightest military minds on Earth. It was designed to defeat a Viridian invasion using tactics that played to humanity's greatest strengths: adaptability, teamwork, and the ability to learn from their enemies. Captain Steve Davis led the Second Fleet in a brilliant maneuver that trapped 4 Viridian destroyers between 2 asteroid fields. The aliens tried to escape, but human ships appeared everywhere they turned. Ships with weapons specifically designed to exploit Viridian weaknesses. Lieutenant Peter Collins was manning the weapons station on the USS Defiance. He had trained for this battle his entire career, studying every piece of Viridian technology that humans had ever captured. Now all that training paid off. Captain Clark, targeting the power generators on the lead destroyer, firing quantum torpedoes, Peter announced. The torpedoes hit their target with perfect accuracy. The Viridian ship's power systems failed, leaving it floating helplessly in space. Without power, its weapons and shields were useless. Dr. Rachel Kim was aboard the USS Sovereign, analyzing the battle in real time. She had spent 15 years learning everything about Viridian technology, and now she was seeing her knowledge used to save humanity. "Captain Miller, their ships are designed to fight enemies who use similar technology. They can't adapt to our completely different approach to warfare," Rachel explained. "We're using physics and engineering principles that their computers don't understand." The truth was becoming clear to everyone involved in the battle. The Viridian Empire had been successful because they fought enemies who tried to match their advanced technology. But humanity had taken a different path. Instead of trying to copy Viridian weapons, humans had created entirely new ways of fighting. Captain Zixathara's flagship was badly damaged. His crew was reporting failures in every major system. The humans had somehow found ways to attack his ship that its designers had never considered possible. "Commander, we should retreat," his weapons officer suggested. "We can regroup and return with a larger fleet." "No," Zixathara snarled. "The Viridian Empire does not retreat. We will fight to the last ship." But the battle was already over. One by one, the Class 15 destroyers were being disabled or destroyed by human weapons. Ships that had once conquered entire star systems were helpless against an enemy they had underestimated. The final engagement took place near Earth itself. 3 surviving Viridian destroyers made a desperate attack on humanity's homeworld. They wanted to strike at the heart of human civilization before they were defeated, but Earth was defended by the most powerful fleet in human history. Admiral Brooks had kept the best ships and most experienced crews close to home. Ships like the USS Liberty, commanded by Captain Amy White, and the USS Guardian under Captain Dan Stone. The Viridian ships found themselves facing weapons they had never seen before. Particle beam cannons that could slice through their hulls like knives. Missile swarms that overwhelmed their defensive systems. And strangest of all, human ships that seemed to predict their every move. Captain Zixathara made one final desperate attack. He aimed his ship directly at Earth, planning to crash into the planet and cause massive destruction. But Captain Greg Miller and the USS Sovereign were waiting for him. "Not today," Greg said quietly as he gave the order to fire. The Sovereign's main weapon was a concentrated beam of pure energy that had taken 20 years to develop. When it struck Zixathara's ship, the Viridian destroyer simply vanished in a flash of light. The battle was over. Across human space, the remaining Viridian ships surrendered or were destroyed. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was finally defeated. In the aftermath, as rescue ships collected survivors and engineers studied the wreckage of alien technology, the galaxy learned something important about humanity. They learned that the quiet, peaceful species from Earth was actually the most dangerous civilization in known space. Commander Beth Turner was analyzing the battle reports when she made an interesting discovery. Admiral Brooks, the Viridians never adapted to our tactics during the entire battle. They kept using the same strategies that worked against other species, but never learned from their mistakes. Admiral Brooks nodded thoughtfully. That's because they were used to winning quickly. They never had to learn how to adapt during a long fight. But humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how to change our tactics when something isn't working. The victory celebrations lasted for weeks, but the real message of the battle spread quickly through the galaxy. Humanity had spent decades appearing weak while secretly becoming the strongest military force in known space. They had studied their enemies, prepared for every possibility, and when the test came, they were ready. The Viridian Empire learned too late that when humans say they will defend their homes and families, they mean it with everything they have. Earth's children had proven once again that underestimating humanity was the last mistake any enemy would ever make.